She said, I am not the things my family did. Anybody got a family that did anything? Not your, just the folk I was raised with. I am not the voices in my head. Now, no one admits to voices in their head, but there are times when I got my mama, like right here, just me. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I'm not the mistakes that I have made. Now, this is where I always want to know that I'm talking to the right people. And excuse me for looking at y'all like this, but you know how these glasses work. Okay, so I can see down, but I can't see up. So, that I'm not the mistakes that I have made. And I want to make sure I'm in the right room. Is there anyone that's made mistakes? Okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay, good. Then we can have church. All right. So, my message is entitled Meet the Moment, Declare Your Independence. Meet the moment, declare your independence. And you know what? I actually didn't plan to do a summary of the movie Independence Day because I just figured everybody saw it. But let me give you the Sherri Digest version. So it is 1994, 93, 92, somewhere in there. And there is a big alien invasion. And the aliens come and get ready to just destroy Earth, and they take out all the major centers of the world. And then Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum go and save the day. And Bill Paxton is a great president. Anybody know? Okay, y'all don't remember this. Anyway, so this movie the movie holds up, and I've watched it a couple of times, and I realized I actually did a sermon about this message, about this movie, when we were in the virtual setting and we had done our movie nights. And so it was interesting coming back to the movie. And I remember the first time that I watched it in the middle of the pandemic, and it was in the midst of how we were responding to COVID. And you remember how everything was it was just confusion. And one of the things that I got from the movie that I thought was so powerful is that how much the rest of the world looks to the U.S. for leadership. And there's even this scene in the movie, and it brought me to tears because it was the point at which they figure out what to do about the aliens. And then they broadcast via Morse code the signal and the instructions to the rest of the world. And it is just this sense of relief that, oh, finally the Americans stood up. And then we were in the midst of the confusion of COVID and misinformation and don't wear a mask and wear them. I mean, y'all remember this. We were together then, right? And so watching this again, we're out of that moment now. We're in a new moment. So I had to go back and find a new message. But all of it is about stepping up and letting a greater version of yourself show up. And I feel like we're in a moment like that right now, still in our country, maybe not threatened by COVID, but we have these other existential threats that are pulling at us, that are tearing apart the fabric of our country. And yet, here we stand on Independence Day weekend saying, meet the moment, declare your independence. My thesis for you is that life is always asking for a greater version of you to step forward. That's what's being asked for right now. We're not to come to this now moment with the old us that showed up yesterday. You yesterday was who needed to show up for yesterday. We need the new you today. Life is always asking for a greater version of you to step forward. Each moment calls for you to reach more deeply into yourself and find a greater set of qualities to express. You know, these qualities are not built without challenges. So these challenges, we're not lesser than what is in front of us. We are greater than what we are looking at. We are bigger than the divisions in our world today. Y'all don't, yeah, okay. Yeah. Sometimes you can look at what's happening and you can think that, well, this is too much for me or this is too big for me. But the truth is that within you is everything to meet the moment that you're facing right now, no matter what the moment calls for. So whether you have been given some dark, deep, crazy diagnosis, whether you have been faced with some prognosis, whether there is something unraveling in your life that you definitely don't want to come apart, that you are equal to this moment. You have exactly what you need. So there's this principle, right? The principle is that the way that our universe is constructed is that the seed of the thing is in the thing itself. Let me go back and say it again. I'm going to come and talk to you. The seed of the thing is in the thing itself. So let's talk about it. If you need an apple, where do you have to go? Okay, so wait. This might be why we have a problem. Okay, all right. If you, I'm going to give you a pass. You knew. If you want a dog or want a puppy, where do you have to go? Okay, yes. If you want a peach, where do you have to go? Because the seed of the thing is in the thing itself. So what is coming to save you, what is coming to serve you, what is coming to lift you, what is coming to transform you is not outside of you. It's inside of you. And so each moment then is asking for a greater you to step up. Each moment is saying, bring me greater patience. I don't need the patience that you exhibited yesterday, because if the challenge is still here, there's a deeper level of patience to raise up out of yourself. Isaiah 45:11. This is probably my favorite Bible verse, easily. Thus says the Lord, the Holy One of Israel and his Maker. Ask me of the things to come concerning my sons, and concerning the works of my hands, you command me. In other words, I don't move until you tell me how to move. The energy intelligence that hung the moon and the stars is waiting on your direction. If you stick your head in the sand about this moment that we are sitting in right now, it doesn't go anywhere. What you are saying is, I can't handle it. It's too big for me. And what you resist persists. Nobody's experienced that. But when you run to face the moment, you find out that it was a paper tiger. No. You might need to sit in it. That's okay. I'm willing to let that happen. We are standing at an inflection point in our history. We are standing at an inflection point that everything as we know it has changed. The pandemic changed us in ways that we're still uncovering, and it is being followed by an AI revolution that has men and women from the highest and the farthest rungs of life screaming warnings about life is getting ready to change even more. Nobody's heard this. It's just me. They have gone on the news and they're saying we are facing what is potentially an existential threat. This moment will not be defined by what has happened, but rather how we respond in this moment. I titled the sermon, Meet the Moment, because that is what we each must do. That when the aliens showed up, they couldn't run and stick their heads in the sand because the aliens were hostile. They're blowing up that was a great scene. They blew up the White House. They blew up they knocked down the Statue of Liberty. Oh, it was mass chaos and destruction. And so we have to look at the present moment and make a decision about how we are going to meet the moment. So affirm with me, it's not what happened. Oh, y'all got to say it like you mean it. It's not what happened, it's what I did about it. It's not what happened, it's what I did about it. One more time for the subconscious mind. It's not what happened, it's what I did about it. Change can feel tiring. Nothing works the way that it used to, right? And what's happening is that your brain is set. Anybody drive to work or drive to wherever you're going and you're on autopilot and you get there and you didn't even realize, you don't even remember the route you took to get there, or you don't remember all because you're on autopilot, right? Because the brain runs on patterns. And so when everything is disruptive, what makes it feel tired is that the brain has to form new neural networks. And so some people, when it really gets tiring, they just throw up their hands and say, I can't do it. I don't know if we have any flip phone users in here, but you know there's a few. They came out with those buttonless phones and they were like, not me. But what's happening is that all of a sudden you have to think differently. You have to think differently about the world that you think you know. And so some people ignore it. That happens, right? Flip phone users. I'm not going to out anybody in here. This is the best part, and you know that there are a few. I don't know who's in this room that would do it, but somebody's in here because, there's always a few. There's a scene in the film where the aliens are coming, and there's a woman standing with a sign that says, "Welcome home." There's always one. But only a small band of people stepped up to respond to the moment with a higher version of themselves. That's what this moment is calling for. There's a greater love to be shown. There's a greater joy to be expressed. There's a greater happiness to be had. There's a greater peace to be found. The only path available is the path forward. And so your decision to run forward with a spirit of hope and a belief in possibility, or rather than to dig your heels in, this is the opportunity that you have been given. The nature of life is that it changes. We don't know where this new thing is going, where we have machines that are for sure smarter than a human. We don't know where this is going. But the moment is for you to stand up and meet it like the spiritual giant that you are. As a spiritual being, you are unlimited. Remember how we felt about COVID? It was so confusing. Now, I don't even think about it. And right now, we're in this moment where it feels confusing. Politically, it feels confusing. From an industry standpoint, with what's happening with AI, it feels confusing. But you are a spiritual being. You have been sent to earth with all of the gifts and the talents and the advantages of spirit. There is nothing that can stop you. Not one thing. And so I want to give you 6 spiritual principles to meet this moment. So the first principle is I want you to release the fear of failure. Release the fear of failure. So here's a question. It may bring to mind like the worst thing that ever happened to you. I could think of a couple things. Is there anybody in here that didn't make it through? Like, are there any ghosts any ghosts sitting in here with us? No? So is it fair to say that you've got a 100% track record of surviving your worst days? Oh, okay. All right. Because sometimes we don't want to move forward because we don't want to experience the pain. And we think that I'm not going to make it through, right? But the truth is that there is no success without failure. None. And so we have to start to consider it a part of the journey. They sent out a friendly mission. They didn't know what was going to happen with the aliens. They sent out a friendly mission to greet the aliens. Hey, we come in peace. And the aliens shot every fighter jet out of the sky. And it was like, oh, okay, consider it a part of the journey. The devastation was so complete that it nearly broke everyone's spirit. Has that ever happened to you? You start a business that you know is going to work out, and inside of a year or maybe months, everything has gone to hell in a handbasket? Nobody in here. It's not this group. Not this group. You ever start a relationship you know it's going to last forever? Okay, yeah, I found you. Okay. You ever start a diet and everything is trending in the right direction? And then life happens and all of a sudden it starts creeping back up in the opposite direction? As adults, we lose the ability, or we lose the willingness to fail without fear of getting back up again, if that makes sense. Like kids just keep getting back up, keep getting back up, keep getting back up. But as we age, we get afraid. I don't want to take a chance. I don't want to stick my toe in the water because it might not work out. And so our lives get narrower and narrower and narrower. And what we have to do is to actually go in the opposite direction. Life is meant to be expansive. Here's the principle. Everything that is growing is expanding in a positive direction. How do you know that a plant is healthy? Because it is growing and expanding. How do you know that a plant is unhealthy? Because it is shriveling and dying. And so when we begin to constrict our world, what we are really doing is snuffing out the life force until eventually we release the body. Principle number 2, keep the faith. So after the major cities of the world were destroyed in seconds, most people felt completely hopeless. And they felt like there's nothing we can do. We're doomed, right? And I feel like we're in that moment right now. Like every headline is like, ChatGPT, it's going to erase whole industries. And then machines can program machines. Because right now you need humans to program the machines, but the AI is getting so good that the AI can program the AI. And what happens when the AI... And so now the question is, well, what actually makes a human... These conversations are being had. What actually makes a human, right? And the fear that is being riled up. And what I'm saying to you is stay in the place of possibility. There is nothing happening in the world that you do not have the ability to respond to victoriously. And so you want to put yourself, so maybe this is the part that people forget. It's not just stay in the place of possibility, but you're responsible for putting yourself in the place of possibility. Part of what's so powerful about coming into this spiritual space is that we sing you, we preach you, we give you announcements and activities to remind you that you are God's beloved. That you are made in the image and likeness. In this space of possibility, I have not yet become all that I can become. No matter what it is that I have expressed, that is not the totality of who I am and who I can be. Through the Christ mind, I can pick up an idea and expand it. These are nice chairs, but the greatest chair has not yet been manifested. Someone who is in love with creating seats can go back to the idea of a chair and question the idea and come up with something greater. It does not yet appear what we shall be because we're not finished. I'm not the fullness of who I'm meant to be. I'm not the fullness of who I can be, and neither are you. And so, what else is inside of you? What else is ready to come forward? What books are not yet written? What music has not yet been created? What business has not yet been built? You are sitting, you are swimming in greatness. You are sitting next to the next Michelangelo, the next Picasso. Y'all not impressed. You got to get impressed. Okay. Affirm with me. There's an opportunity for me. Oh, now y'all know. Come on. There's an opportunity for me that's perfectly suited for me, just as I am at this age, with these credentials, at this weight, with these challenges, with these mistakes, just as I am. Principle number 3, ask big. Ask big. You have not because you ask not. Ask. This is James chapter 4, verses 2 and 3. You want something and do not have it, so you commit murder. Not y'all. And you covet something and cannot obtain it, so you engage in disputes and conflicts. But you don't have because you don't ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly in order to spend what you get on your pleasures. Here's this. If you up your ask, the universe will up its give. You have as much money as you have asked the universe for. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Okay. You have as much love as you have asked the universe for. Up your ask, and the universe will up its give. Stop trying to make this is what we do. We try to make the ask match how we see ourselves. And that's the problem. You're not seeing yourself as you truly are. She told you, I am light. I'm not the mistakes. I'm not the things my family did. I'm not the places that I've been. I'm not the stuff that didn't work out. I am light. And so up your ask. And let me clarify how we ask from God, or how we command God, because that's really what it is. We ask and we command God through our daily habits. So every food you put in your mouth is asking and commanding God for the health that is to be made manifest in your body. Every word you speak, every thought you think, every feeling that you feel, every way that you respond to the moment is asking or commanding God. Do you get that? And so you learn to ask big through what you say, through what you do, through the feelings you allow yourself to feel. Yes? Through the way that you respond to the world around you. Principle number 4, write the vision. Put it down on paper. When Jeff Goldblum's character thought of a potential solution for responding to the alien invasion, he wrote it down. He sketched it out. Here, affirm this with me. It's not real until I write it down. It's not real until I write it down. There is something amazing when you put pen to paper. When you put pen to paper and you begin to sketch it out, it's like it sets in motion the machinery of the universe to bring you exactly what you have put on paper. I'm going to keep going. Principle number 5, give back. We are here to be of service. And so you have something of value that you can exchange. Yes? See, they're worried about this AI revolution and what it's going to do. Because they literally have the ability to like write songs and have the like they can match your voice. I don't know if anybody has seen any of this, right? It's like it's deep fake on a whole other level. And so they can write a song and have a voice that sounds like Michael Jackson's voice singing it, and we know that he has since transitioned from this life, right? Like the levels that it's going to are just like astounding. It is going to disrupt our world. And so the fear is, oh my God, what do I do? Oh my God, what do I do? But people don't understand that wealth is built on a principle. Wealth is not built on the job you have right now. Wealth is built on the principle that I have something of value that I can give, that I can make so attractive that you would feel foolish to not pay me for it. That's the wealth principle. Isn't that how you feel about those iPhones? Nobody else paid $1,300 for the iPhone. It's just me. Or you wonderful Android users who are committed. You will never get me on that iPhone. I'll just pay $700 for mine. There is something inside of you that is so amazing that if you develop it, that people will feel foolish for not giving you their money to have it. So AI can come and AI can go. The principle that establishes wealth is eternal. It's been the same throughout eternity. It didn't begin yesterday and it's not going to end tomorrow. It is how the universe is constructed. And so part of seeing yourself different, part of opening yourself up, part of thinking of yourself differently is beginning to see yourself as a person of value. Meet the moment. Declare your independence. I had a quote one of my mentors said to me. He said, all the money you want but do not now have is in someone else's wallet. I thought that was good. And then he followed it up. He said, and they'll give you some of it if you provide them enough value. Uh-huh. Last principle, number 6, get grateful. Gratitude changes everything. What you appreciate appreciates. So years ago, it feels like years ago, a decade ago, 20, I think 2013, 2012, somewhere in there, I was actually out this way, well, Santa Barbara, and I was doing the Avon Walk for breast cancer. And I'd never done a thing like that, but it was a marathon on day 1 and then a half marathon on day 2. And it was amazing. We were walking and there were people staged along the way. So people were walking for different reasons. I was there because Avon was our client, but we were walking and they were clapping and saying, thank you for walking. You know, if you've ever participated in something like that, you know what I'm talking about. And it was this amazing, like, euphoric feeling that I had. And I just was so light, even though I had walked 26 miles. I thought, geez, what is this? And so when I went back to my hotel room, and I was just sitting there and just kind of meditating on, like, what was this feeling? And Spirit said, that's what gratitude feels like. That's what real gratitude feels like. And I said, enough gratitude will make you float. Because even though I had walked those 26 miles, I could have walked another 26 because I felt that light. Enough gratitude will shatter the atmosphere where you sit right now. Gratitude will take what you have and make it better or move it out of your life so that something that matches the level of your gratitude can come into its space. Let me tell you this story. So that used to trip me up because I always thought, oh, I don't want to be grateful for the things that I don't want. Because who wants more of the stuff I don't want? And then I realized, Sherri, the universe is intelligent. Everything that you have serves in some way. Everything that you have has a nugget of good in it. And if you will begin to get grateful for that nugget of good, one of two things is going to happen. Either one, it's going to blossom and become more of what you desire, or it is going to move out of the way. So one of the things that I was afraid to get grateful for, I was afraid to get grateful for being single. Because why would I don't want no more of that. But I'm a witness that you can get so grateful for the space that you are in right now that the Spirit will move things out of the way and compel you to take actions that will bring into your space the very thing you think is being kept from you. We live in a magical universe where anything is possible. The extraordinary is waiting to come through you. It's waiting for you to open up, to say yes, to allow the good, to expect the good, to agree with it, to demand it, to insist upon it. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.